There's a lot of things that people don't see and frankly just don't know when it comes to editing real estate videos. So since y'all like the first one, we're gonna run it back for a part 2. Today we're editing a luxury real estate video from start to finish. It's gonna be raw and relatively uncut. So lock in, grab your favorite source of caffeine, and let's get into it. All right, here we go. Welcome inside to Final Cut Pro. Our first step is to create a new project or timeline. So we're gonna go here, new project. It's gonna bring up the menu. First thing we gotta do, name the project. Let's call it Chef's Cook. Next up, event is fine. Video, you can choose your settings in here. This is a vertical video for social media, so we're going to select vertical. Now it's going to default to 720p. What we're going to do is we want this to be a 1080 by 1920 reel. Because this is going to social media, and social media, or more for instance Instagram, it is a 1080p image. So we shot the project in 4K, but we're going to be editing on a 1080 by 1920 timeline. That way, when we export and then post to social media, we're not going to have a heavy compression and our video is going to stay nice and sharp. Now, for our frame rate, we're editing on a 29.97p or 30p timeline. We shot it in 60 frames per second, so we're going to be editing on a 30 FPS timeline. There we go. Rendering, Apple Pro is 422, standard, and that's it. So those are my timeline settings. Let's hit OK. So now we got the timeline. What we're going to do is we're going to bring the footage over, or on to the timeline, I should say. So we're going to over here, we're going to go to B-roll. Because I separated all these shots in my Finder, right, in the folder into these different categories, when I import the entire footage folder into Final Cut Pro, it keeps the keywords so I can easily find all the footage. So what we're going to do, select the first one, Command A, bring it all into the timeline. Now you'll see that doesn't look right because we shot this in we shot it in vertical, and to my knowledge the Canon R6 does not have like vertical shooting. We have to mix this around, or we have to change the settings here. So it comes in horizontal. We're going to keep it all highlighted. We're going to go over to here, rotation -90, gives us the right orientation, and scale 180. Boom, there we go. So now we've got it all sorted. We're going to go through our selects. Now, this is a really nice house, and you'll see that these few rooms were not staged. I shot them anyways, but we're not going to include them in this video. This is for social media. We only want the best of the best. So we got a shot of the staircase here. Maybe I'll keep it. Now, I talked about this in the last video. The fastest way to do your selects, I'll just delete those. Fastest way to do your selects is to program Q and W to trim your clips. Get rid of that for now. So Q cuts the front of the clip to the playhead. W trims the back end. I don't like that shot. Now, when it comes to selects, I'm only picking shots that I really like, right? Like I said, this video is for Instagram, for social media. So I only want the shots that are the best of the best. So as I'm scrubbing through, I'm like, all right, here's the start, here's the finish, W. So you can see when I'm shooting my wides, I'm shooting with as much distance as possible, right? I'm all the way at the front door here, right? Most people would start maybe here and shoot to like here, but we're going way back, coming all the way through That's going to give us the best results for smooth speed ramps. The exterior of this home was a pain to shoot, just because like it's up high on this hill, and there's all these like inconvenient signs. Like, come on, a no parking sign right in front of the front. Like, you can't plan it worse than that. Wide straight push, right? And then obviously, like, here we got the for sale sign on like the best shot of the exterior, and then the street sign. Like, come on. Detail shots, I always end up picking more detail shots than I end up using. It just seems to be my thing. Okay. So when it comes to detail shots, that's nice right there. I'm always looking for depth. So you can see we've got foreground, our subject in the middle, and then the background would be like the trees and whatever. So these detail shots, I'm using a 24-105 lens. Usually I'm shooting at 24 for sliders, and then I switch between 50 mil and 85 mil for details. I'm usually on 50 mil. I will only use the 85 if I'm like further away and I can really get some depth, or I need a really close-up detail. I think this one, actually this shot is quite nice, and I believe I shot it on the 85. Or on 85, I should say. A nice slider. Cross. A little janky there. There we go. That's nice. All right, so because I went through the wides already, I'm also thinking about like what details are going to supplement the wides. What did I miss with the wides that I can fill in with the details? Hey guys, quick break. Before we keep going, I want to take a moment to introduce a new partner to the channel, MarketU. MarketU is a video editing agency that not only has a large selection of vetted and certified real estate video editors who are honestly producing about 70 to 80% of the quality I'm producing, but they also take the time to sit down with you and have a conversation about what your needs are and what your vision is, so that they can find the right editor that's going to suit your needs best. Editing real estate videos and learning how to edit can be frustrating and extremely time consuming, and finding a good real estate video editor can be even worse. But that's where MarketU comes in. I personally know quite a few people in the real estate video industry who use MarketU for their editing needs. So if you want to stop stressing about your video editing, click the link in the description and check out MarketU for yourself. So there we go. That is the selects process. We've got all the selects. We've got all our favorite shots that we're going to be using for the video. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our music. So I already have my song selected. It is called Everything to Me by No Ties, or No Tees. I don't know, however you say that. Got it from Artlist. Now, if you want my entire playlist, my entire Artlist playlist for songs that I pick when I need royalty-free music for client projects, that will be linked down in the description. My playlist that I use for Artlist. So this song is in there, as well as a lot of other songs that I've used, some that you've seen on my page, some that you haven't. So if you're looking for some good music, head over to Artlist and check out that playlist. Now, I'm not really going to go into how I found or selected this song. I talked about that more in the previous video of how I select the music. And honestly, this one, back in the early days when I was just starting out, one of my biggest inspirations was Futuro Avenue. And they made a video, used this song. I loved it ever since. So we are going to be using it. Now, here's something that not a lot of people really understood. They're like, oh, you're using Final Cut, but you're like totally neglecting the magnetic timeline. So what I do, I like to cut up my music. And so I create this blank block, space, whatever, so that I can do that. Now this is for social media. So we want to use the absolute best part of the song, which I know is here. So let's take a quick listen to this drop. All right, so that's the best part right there. So we'll cut to here. Now, when it comes to videos for social, I want to make sure that I'm getting inside the property, getting that first like main hit within 5 to 10 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I always start with the first speed ramp. That's what I always start with, and then I go from there. So we're going to find the first 2 clips that we're going to need for the first speed ramp. Usually exterior facade and our best like interior wide shot. So let's start with the exterior. This is not a bad shot. Again, we have to make sure we've got enough distance to play with here. Like we could start there and ramp in. Maybe we didn't get a lot of distance on this one though. But I think it's our best shot. I think it's our best angle. So we might go right when we pass the sign there. I'm going to copy it, bring it over. I'm going to paste it above the track. All right, and then we go into there. So I think that can work if we start it slow. Because I shot this in 60 frames per second, we're editing on 30 frames per second timeline, I can hit Shift A, or I think I've programmed that. Shift A will automatic speed, so it'll slow down to 50% automatically. I believe the default for that to slow down to 50% is Shift Q. So really the automatic speed is if you were like shooting or editing on a 24 frames per second timeline, automatic speed would slow it down to like 40%. So I want to hear the pacing kind of the song here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Maybe here, 3, 4, boom. Then we hit the ramp, Shift B. I'm not really going to talk too much about how to speed ramp in depth in this video because I have a full tutorial on that on my channel, but I will cover it quickly. So to make a speed cut, all right, a speed cut, Shift B. It's not going to cut the actual clip, but it's going to cut the speed. So now I want to go to the back end part of here, fast 20x. Now you'll see kind of have this, it's grayed out here, but then solid here. So I can use this to slide out. That's just going to smooth out the ramp. And we didn't nail it on the timing. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the middle black bar, double click, source frame, edit. It's going to bring this up. Now I can drag this, time it up with the drop. Now, I don't think I can get it exact, but that's pretty close. Slide this, double click, and it goes away. All right, not bad. Again, we'll finesse it later. I just want to get the first speed ramp going, and then our momentum carries from there. Now we need the interior wide. And this needs to be the best interior wide. Again, this is for social, right? We need to blow people away. People need to see the best stuff first. Now, what do I have a few options. I think I was going to delete that one. A little janky. You can see some micro jitters, some shakes in there. And then we got this one here. I don't know. I think I like this one. Let's try it. Copy, paste. Might start it back here. Not all the way, so we can speed ramp. Okay, Shift A. Maybe we'll get it here. 50%. And then we're not going to go, probably not going to go all the way. Might go to about here, max. 2, 3, 4, 1. So yeah, about there. All right. So this song is pretty quick, so we gotta really nail our pacing here on this one. So you can hear it's so we got to make sure that we're in line with that pacing, right? So I'm thinking I like going like between slower to faster, right? Kind of give this more dynamic flow. So boom, detail, detail, wide, wide, something like that. So let's find some details. So since we're ramping into the living room. Let's go find some details for our living room. Where are the details? Here we go. So what I'm actually gonna do is right here, create a space just so I know this is where the wides end, this is where the details are. So living room details. I really like this shot. That's a nice shot. This shot's nice. Maybe like from here on kind of thing. So we'll start with these two. Copy, paste. Let's see. Boom, boom. All right, it's gonna be quick. Just maybe go here. Boom. Wide. Okay, so we got boom, boom, boom. We'll slow it down with a wide. What I'm trying to avoid are redundant shots or shots that are in similar composition. So because we ramped in on this angle, and the reason I put the fireplace shot before this one is because these are actually like somewhat similar angles in the sense of like where we're looking at the room. So I want to mix it up. And so since we got a wide from this one, I think I want to find a wide from the back side of the room. This one. I really, really like this shot. Oh, copy, paste. Now I could probably start working down in the magnetic timeline now. This is really just for piecing. I put clips above to piece things together. So if I wanted to, start working over here, I could do that. But for now, we'll go kind of in chronological order. Okay. So yeah. All right, big hit right there. Okay, so I don't want to keep us in the living room too long, so I think let's move on. 1, 2. I think we could probably speed ramp here into the next space, which I think is going to be the kitchen because that's kind of the next grand space of the house. All right, so let's see what we can find here. What could I speed ramp into? So let's take a look at these shots. What have we got? Orbit, wide straight, another wide straight, upwards. And then where's our kitchen shots? Oh, actually, we got orbit here. And we've got orbit here. We could speed ramp these two orbit shots together. That's what I'm thinking. Let's try this out. Bring these down. Doom, down. So that's kind of our time. So we want to hit the speed ramp right there. Throw a little marker. Shift B, fast 20. Again, you can see we kind of missed the mark, so we'll double click. Get that onto the marker. Okay, it goes pretty quick. And then we've got ramp into here. So slow that down. Cut it there. Actually, let's keep it long. be fast, 20%. Move this out. Again, it's all about pacing. All about pacing and timing. Just probably got it there. Okay, so I don't know, 20 times seems pretty quick. I'm gonna try something. Sometimes what I'll do, if I'm transitioning between shots kind of like this, where it's not a big ramp with ton of distance, I'll hit the 800%. So let's see. It feels a little slow. Maybe let's try like 1,000%. A little bit faster, but not quite super fast. It's not bad. Obviously, you can see there's actually quite a bit of shake in those two clips. I'm gonna get rid of that. Sorry for the distraction. So let's throw some stabilization on both of these. So what do we got here? All right, slowing down a little bit. So you can see right here, there's some wobbles. All right, if we blow this up, watch the top of the windows. There's some wobbles right there. So, I'll play it through so you can really see. I don't know, there's something about it just feels a little janky. So I think I'm actually going to cut this down by maybe 2 frames. And then what I'm going to try is a different version of stabilization. So the automatic typically will be like your inertia cam, which is kind of the basic. I'm going to try smooth cam. It's going to reanalyze, and we get a little bit more control over how the stabilization plays out. So that actually looks a little bit smoother. Let's take a look. A little bit hard to see. And if you're wondering why it's like a little bit fuzzy, it's because I have quality onto better performance. So it's not playing at like 100% quality, just to kind of save the computer a little bit. So I'm going to play around with these settings. Rotation and scale is usually what I'll play around with. That's not really affecting too much, so it might just be rotation. Let's take a look. It looks pretty smooth. And I might do the same thing here. This still looks like it didn't quite get all the shakes. So we'll try out smooth cam. Ooh, that really punched in, as you can kind of see. A little bit of wobble I saw in there. Again, so you can see when I'm moving this, if we go more, it's gonna like really affect that rotation axis, that rotate movement, and then scale, we can usually bring that down too. All right, that looks pretty smooth. Let's see if we can make this a little bigger. There we go. That's finesse right there. And then the cuts there. Moving on. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So let's stay in the kitchen for a little bit here. Let's find some details and then maybe hit a wide right here. Now I think I don't want this to be like too fast, too rushed, right? Because if we go here, those details are pretty quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So we could kind of do something like that. Where 3, 4. Or maybe, okay, hold on. Let me see what we got here. Kitchen details. The one on the stove is nice. Maybe this one. It's kind of all we got. Ooh, this shot's nice. Okay, let's start with these. Now, you may be wondering why I'm not doing anything here with the intro yet. I usually like to sequence this out first, and then I come back to the intro later, because the intro, this is like, we need the best shots in the intro, right? again, this is social media, so we can't build it up too much because it's a vertical. With horizontal, we got a little bit more leeway in building up an intro. But usually I save the intro for like the best shots. Usually a detail shot that's like you can't quite see what's going on, but like you kind of see, it builds that intrigue, and then we hit the main drop kind of thing. So I'm just working kind of in the sequencing right here right now. So let me see. And then what else do we have for wides that I want to include in the kitchen? I love this composition. This is a beautiful composition. The symmetry's on point. And yeah, I'm a big fan of composition. And then what else? That shot's nice. But because the reason I'm not going to use this shot is look at the composition here. We got this composition, and then we got this composition, right? They're pretty close, like very, very close. So that's why I would opt in for the straight on first, because it's not quite the same, but it's still really good composition, and you won't really remember that you already saw it. So maybe let's go here. Boom. All right, so this is a big hit here. And we're not going to speed ramp quite yet. The key to editing really good videos is knowing when and when not to speed ramp. Too many speed ramps will tire the viewer out. It'll get repetitive. And again, we're already kind of following a very similar sequencing. So let's try and mix it up a little bit. What else could we use? Oh yeah, this shot. They've got a really nice like butler's pantry here. And this is also a nice composition of the kitchen there too. So maybe we'll go wide to wide. Again, these are like pretty opposite viewpoints. So maybe we'll do boom. So I'm thinking what we'll do, instead of speed ramping between clips, we'll speed ramp within the clip. So we'll start here, speed ramp through into the kitchen. And I'll show you how to do that. Boom. Right, so that, again, I'm speed ramping with the music still. I'm not just throwing in a random speed ramp. The speed ramp needs to be on the music. So that, and then cut. So like this is how long the clip's gonna be. So let's maybe make Shift B here. Fast, let's start with 8 times. And then Shift B here, back to 50. This is where I want the clip to end. I want this to be longer. And I think I actually want this to be a bit faster too. Might extend this to make sure that we're ramping right on beat. Cut here. Very nice. All right, so about 18 seconds in, we still have a little bit to go. So I'm thinking, what else is on the main floor? So we have the dining space, which I think is pretty cool in terms of the compositions I was able to capture. The office, let's see, where's the office? The office is nice, but again, I want to focus on the main stuff. So if I'm going to include the office, it'll be later in the video. I'm not too worried about like chronological order. Again, this is all about feature sequencing. We want the best stuff early on. I really like this composition coming through the arch. So yeah, we got the dining space. Put that over there, and then maybe I'll grab a detail. I really love this composition. I might use this in the intro. So then our other option really is just this one, and it's different from the composition that we selected. So we'll use it. Now we did 2 wides in a row, so now we'll switch to a detail here. Let's see, what are we feeling here? So we just had kind of 2 longer shots. Ba, ba, ba. right? So we could actually go 1, 2, 1, 2. The song is pretty quick. And then here. Ba, ba, ba. Cut. It's a little bit behind. That's a little bit ahead. I don't know if I think I might start here instead of going all the way through, and then maybe yeah, okay. So let's find, I don't know, something else to use there. I don't want to use this shot because it's a very similar composition to the detail we selected. So we've kind of got two options. Oh, that's a nice shot too. We've got that one, but that again, that's very similar to the first detail. It's just slightly moved. Again, I don't like, I call them compositional cuts or compositional jumps, where the two shots, it feels weird because they look similar. But that's kind of all we got. So maybe what I'll do, instead of jumping into this shot, we'll throw something here as a transition, then go here, and then next. So let's find a shot that we can throw in there that kind of ties into the kitchen. Maybe it's more of like a textural shot. Let's see that, pretty far. So we could use this one because we didn't really highlight this kind of wet bar area. Ooh, this one's actually kind of nice because also, okay, I'm going to explain a few things here. Could use this one. However, it's moving in the opposite direction of the next detail shot. So I'll show you what I mean by that. If you want to know how I'm quickly copying and pasting above the magnetic timeline, it's Option V to paste above the main. If we just hit Command V, it's going to go into the main timeline. This one pastes above everything. So if we take a look, I guess maybe slow that down. Right, they're moving in two different directions. We've got this one going, I don't know, left to right, and we got this one going right to left. So I usually like to use shots that to help with flow that are moving in the same direction. Like it just feels a little jumpy. So my other option is that tighter slider. Not this one because that's the same composition as the wide. Where is it? Right here. Let's see. Option V. Go like this here. So you can see they're moving in the same direction and the foreground is on the same side. Foreground here is on the right side. Foreground here is also on the right side. So I think I'm going to choose this shot instead. 2, 3, 4, 1. All right, cool. So we'll take this shot and we'll just paste it up here. So I know it's a good shot. I just didn't use it. Okay, so what's next? We have two options. We can now either go upstairs or we can go into some exteriors. Because again, we only have this one exterior shot and I'm thinking for the intro, I don't think I'm going to use an exterior shot for the intro. I'll show you what I'm thinking for the intro actually. Let's build this out because I saw a few shots. I saw this one. I saw this one. And I saw this one. So here's what I noted. Very nice compositions. Very nice details. Shows enough to get you intrigued, but not enough to be like, oh, here's what the property looks like. And they're all sliders. Now I know if we play through them, they're not all playing in the same direction. We can work around that. This can easily just be adjusted. So I want to make sure that we're getting the right time. So we've got 1, 2, 3, or sorry, 3. I don't know how this song is kind of weird in this part. Maybe we'll go 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. Yeah, that should work. Okay. Here's what we'll do. I want to figure out like what's the best parts of these clips. I kind of messed up by cutting them. Oops. If we want to bring that up, Option up key. Like obviously that's too long. So where's like the best part? Is it revealing this way? Maybe. I think that's nice. So then this shot needs to be moving in the same direction. So we'll slow that down, reverse it, maybe cut it here. Too far back. So use the T tool. So this is a cool tool. I don't remember what it's called, but if you hit T on your keyboard, instead of actually having to move the clip and manually reposition and adjust it, I can keep the timing of the clip the same, and I can just move the inside of the video. So I can move, you can see on the left is the start frame, on the right is the end frame. So let's go here. Maybe cut right. Oop. Cut here. Cut here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring this last slider in. Moving this way. Something like that. Yeah, it's a little bit funky, the timing of this song, but if we start, there we go. Sick. I think that's a sick intro, right? We got 3 slider shots, cohesive, moving in the same direction into the main drop. Let's continue. Yeah, so we go back here. I'm thinking we should cut back to some exteriors. I think it's a good way to kind of break up the flow instead of just jumping straight up into the upper level. So let's find some exteriors here. What's our, first off, we're gonna hear what we're dealing with. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking slow it down a little bit here. So let's find, what do we got for details? That's a nice shot. Okay, I like this. We got this upwards reveal. So we'll throw this over here, and then let's get a wide. What else do we really have for wides? This shot's actually nice. So if we start this one here after the sign, it's a different angle than what we showed earlier. Let's try it out. Okay. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh. 2, 3, 4, 1. And then slow this down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom. 3, 4. Okay. So this is a pretty big hit in the song. So I might actually try to speed ramp the rest of this clip. There. But I want to come into, here. So we could speed ramp that into the primary. We don't have a ton of distance on this primary shot. Like really, the composition gets a little bit, like anything beyond that, we start losing the focus of the room. Well, let's try it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom. Let's actually bring this back. Yeah, right there. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Marker, so we know where to hit the ramp. Fast 20 times because this is a big ramp. Double click, line that up right on the waveform there. Okay, could work. I think we'll start here. Maybe into here. I think that could work. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. What's the pacing after? 1, 2, 3. So we'll cut there. That's fast because we're not covering a lot of distance in this and we go really fast. So I might slow this down to 1,000. We're still traveling a bit of distance. Okay. All right. 2, 3, 4. So here we're not actually cutting on the 3 beat. We're going to cut on the 4. So we'll go detail here and then hit a wide into the ensuite, I think. So let's hop over to primary. This is really the only detail we got. Again, it is like a very similar composition to the wide, but I think it works because it is a little bit lower. Get that foreground right there. So quick one, and then let's hit the ensuite, which is here somewhere. Okay, so we got, I don't know, I think out of these two, I like this one the best. It's a more even exposure, or sorry, even composition. And we get to see the like shower area and the vanities kind of all at the same time. Let's go here maybe. Okay. And then maybe we'll use this shot. I really like this composition. Showers are often really hard to shoot. This one was not. Okay. Boom. I don't know, because this is social, I don't know if we need any more details of the ensuite. Maybe we could do like a quick montage. So like 1, 2, and then excuse me. Let's try it. Let's try it. What do we got? Maybe 1, 2, boom. So 2 quick ones, and then we'll cut to something else. Maybe this one. I think I like this one better than that one. What's the movement here? Going right to left? To right. I don't know if we really need the shower heads. So maybe actually if we, because I like this one. That's kind of a cool one. Again, these are going to be quick. But I really didn't get much. Okay. And then if we reverse this one. I don't know if that's really the one. Some unnecessary movement in there. So maybe let's pick this tighter detail. Kind of right here. And then maybe here. Let's try this. And these are quick cuts. I might jump to this one first. Do do da. Oh wow. Do. Right on. Ooh. It's a little behind, I think. Finesse. There we go. I don't think we're going to go the whole distance here, so I think I'm going to cut out this second part here. So I know I'm jumping around a little bit. Sometimes my brain works in funny ways. Usually I do this first. Kind of skipped over it, but we're going to fade. What we're going to do, let's make sure we really... Right there. Here. So that sounds pretty abrupt. We go from high energy to like zero energy. So what we can do here is we'll overlap these a little bit and fade, use the fader to cross dissolve these together. Oh, excuse me. It's a little quick. Let's line up these waveforms right there. So how does... Now this is, it is a bit tricky because we have vocals and this next section does not have vocals. Oh, that actually works all right. Kind of faded out when she says, oh. Ah, that's clean. And then we'll end it there, fade this out like that. All right, so this video will run total 40 seconds. Okay, so we completed the sequencing. We've got the full timeline here. It's looking good. I really like it. I'm pretty happy with how the sequencing turned out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the color grading. This is my color grading process. Don't take this as Bible. I don't know if this is like the right way, or I don't know if there really is there's a wrong way for color grading. Let me say that. But this is the way that I color grade my footage. So I color grade, I do the grading on adjustment layers. So here's what I do. Shift X brings up an adjustment layer. Extend that over the whole timeline. Make sure, get that perfect. And then I'm going to hold Option, click, drag that up. So we got 2 adjustment layers. Then I'm going to go over to my effects panel in a section called color or dot color. Now the reason I have it called dot color is so the period will push this to the top instead of me having to find down here, or you've got the actual color thing where you got a whole bunch of stuff here. So dot color, my 2 most commonly used effects are the C-Log 3 conversion to Rec 709 and then my color grade. So first things first, we'll take our color grade, our Rec 709 conversion, drop that on. So now we have our footage is in Rec 709. And you can see as we're just very quickly scrubbing through, we're gonna have to do a lot of adjustments, but at least this looks closer to normal. Now, not really going for a normal look here. And that's where my secret LUT comes in. I've called this the sauce, for lack of a better term. Now, the reason I have it in saved as the color effects is simply because I have not figured out how to make it an actual LUT yet. So yeah, that's why it's here. But I have it saved as an effect preset, so I can just drag it onto this adjustment layer on top here. Now you can see here's what that LUT consists of. I have combined 3 different LUTs and really kind of dialed in the intensity of each one to make this look. And then we've got a color adjustments here that have a few minor adjustments. So this LUT is going to be dropping soon. I don't know when, so I can't like promise you a date, but a lot of people want this LUT. I get comments all the time, like, oh my gosh, your colors are amazing. So it is coming soon. You can count on that. Moving on, we've got our conversion. Now we've got our color, our look. Now let's go into our adjustments. So this is where a lot of the fine tuning and the finesse comes in. I don't know if I'll go through every single clip, but I'll go through a few that are notable, or at least talk through a few that are notable. So let's just start with this first one. That looks pretty nice. What we're gonna do is come over to our color panel. I like to do all my edits in the adjustments, color adjustments. So we'll go here, color adjustments. Obviously this is a little overexposed, so I'm gonna bring the brightness down a little bit. But obviously this is like a global thing, right? If I bring it up, everything comes up. What I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna take the highlight slider and I'll pull that down. So you can see even from like nothing to all the way down, we get a lot of detail coming back in those highlights. And then bring the blacks down to kind of create some moody contrast in there too. And then maybe bring the brightness up just a little bit, so we still kind of have that pop. We still have contrast, but you can still see like pretty clearly out the windows. So that looks pretty nice. I like how that looks. Moving on to this shot, again, starting with the brightness, bring the highlights down a bit and the blacks down for that contrast. Looks good. Maybe bring brightness up a bit. Now, let's look at the difference between these two shots. This shot, quite warm. This shot, quite cool. How do we fix that? I like the look of this. It was shot on a fall day. I want it to be a slightly warmer look to the interior footage, or all the footage in general. So what do I do to fix this? I'm gonna go over to color curves. I'm gonna go to the first color curve here, select the eyedropper, and then I'm gonna select on the part that I think is too cool, which looks like kind of the cabinets here. So it's white. I wanna select something white, and then I wanna select something cool. So right here, if we click, right, kind of seafoam. Over here, more that cyan. Over here, we get that aqua. So the aqua is kind of the tone that I want to bring down. Cyan, aqua kind of thing. So you can see also, depending on where I click, we get this gray line. That is showing the luma value. So obviously we're more in the highlights here versus if I clicked here, more in the shadows. So typically walls tend to fall within the highlights to midtones. So I'm going to click on the light here, aqua. We get our point here, click, and I'm going to drag down. And so you can see, if I just toggle this on and off, just that little adjustment made our footage look so much nicer and more accurate here. So that's how I also get kind of perfect whites in my footage. Let's pull up another example. Let's go. Whoa, that shot's crazy. All right, this shot, you can see we messed up the white balance. So I run my camera on auto white balance set to white priority. And when we started way back here in the like butler's pantry, the lighting was a lot cooler. So the auto white balance corrected, the lighting was warmer. So the auto white balance corrected to be cooler. And then by the time we got into the living room, obviously the lighting in here is a lot cooler. But our white balance didn't have time to change within that time period. So we have a very cool shot. And not cool as in like that looks cool, cool as in temperature cool. So what we're going to do is start with our adjustments first. Let's bring those highlights down, get some of that detail back. Black point down as well. We don't want it too dark, so we'll bring that brightness up. What we're going to do is I want to prioritize this. This is where our shot lands. This is what people are seeing. So we're going to hop in the color curves, not color wheels. Eyedropper up here. You can see aqua kind of everywhere in the midtone. So we'll make a point, click, drag down, and we start to see that correction come in. Now, if we were to go back to the start, that looks pretty orange. Now you have to remember though, is that we're speed ramping through this, right? Let's play this through. That's a split second. People are not going to notice that your footage is kind of cooked from the start to here because it's literally half a second. This is what we want people to see, and I still think it's a little too blue. So I can play around, I can move this dot around a little bit. So if I want more, the highlights to be a little bit warmer as well as those midtones, I can slide up. If I want the shadows to be more cool, I can drag it down. It's more the highlights in this clip here. So we'll bring that down. And then what I might do is hop over to hue saturation curves, find something that's still a little teal, like the color cast on that table, and desaturate some of the blues. Now this can be tricky if you've got blue skies through the window. Now you can't really tell. There isn't really a clear blue sky, so we can get away with dragging that down a little bit. Hop back to the curves. Let's see. Something like that. It's not going to be perfect white. Like you can see that looks maybe a little bit warm, a little bit on the warmer side. But I mean, if the walls were to be white, which might be around kind of there, it doesn't look too bad. But again, we're going for that warmer look. So I think that's fine. Let's do this exterior shot. So what we'll do, we'll bring the highlights down. You can see we get so much retention back there. And I want to show you the difference of why I use the adjustments versus the wheels, right? Let's look at the dramatic change between the highlight slider here, right? This was 0, down. We get all those details back. Let's reset this, open a color wheels and change the highlights. If we bring that down, right? Look, it's also adjusting the exposure of like the whole frame, right? It's not very selective. So if we refresh that or reset that, excuse me, adjustments versus the highlights, it's only affecting those highlights. So that's why I use the adjustments over the wheels. So yeah, we'll drag that all the way down. We'll bring the black point down as well to bring in contrast. Now this looks a little warm. Looks a little too warm, so we'll hop to the curves. Eyedropper, orange kind of thing right there, maybe on the stone here. Drag this down a little bit. It looks a little too blue. So then you can open up the adjuster, the color picker, I don't know, whatever this thing is called. And then you can see we're adding in. So this is what we're correcting for. This is what we're adding in. And I think that looks a little too blue. So we're going to push this up to be a little more teal. And I think that looks a little bit more natural. And then we'll come back here. I don't know, maybe something like that. Let's go back to the adjustments. Brightness up a little bit, black point down, saturation. Sometimes with exterior shots, I'll boost the saturation a little bit. I think that looks a lot better. If we go before, after, before, after. I like that look. Maybe I'll come back to it and think I don't like it or there's something that needs to change. So those are like the most common tools that I use for color grading and color adjusting. I'm going to quickly go through the rest of these clips, color correct them, and then we'll get into the next part of the edit. So the next step in the edit is going to be our sound design. Now sound design really kind of depends on the project. Not every project is going to have a ton of sound design. It really depends on kind of how you edit it, what the footage is like, and so forth. So there are, though, some go-tos that I always use. Now, the first one is going to be on our speed ramps. Now, I always put a whoosh under the speed ramps. Now, this is the TPV whoosh. I got this from joining the program TPV, the Property Videographer, but you can get a lot of very similar sound effects on places like Epidemic Sound. I love Epidemic Sound for sound effects. It's where I get most of my sound effects from, if not from purchasing from other creators. But Epidemic Sound has kind of been my go-to for sound effects for, well, forever. So if you want to check out Epidemic Sound, or you even want a free trial, I've got a link in the description. You can get a free trial for Epidemic Sound for 1 whole month. So check out that link in the description and you can get some really cool sound effects. So let me just play this for you. That's what it sounds like. And so I put that under every speed ramp. And so I'm just going to go through, find all the speed ramps. I use the TPV whoosh for kind of the big ones, which is going to be the transition shots. And I'm just lining up the waveform right underneath the main cuts, so we know it's right on target. Cool. And then we've got a couple more speed ramps. These are kind of the speed ramps within a clip. I use a different whoosh that I'm gonna have to find. Things here, simple whoosh right here. And we can line that up right kind of in the center, bring that up a little bit so we can hear it. Copy that and paste over here. So whooshes, again, they're not meant to be like super loud. They're not meant to steal the show. They're kind of there for texture. You can just kind of hear it. And it's one of those things, again, it's not meant to steal the show, but it's there to just elevate the viewing experience. Next thing I'm going to do is a riser. Now, there is one riser that is very trendy. Everybody's kind of using it. It is this one, metallic riser. This one also got off of Epidemic Sound. Big surprise. I use this riser when the music or when the video is coming to kind of a big moment, right? So if we go listen here, right, it goes right in, right? If we add the riser, very nice. Now I might bring this down just a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring the riser down a little bit. What a lot of people do is they just love to crank that riser. I like it to be more subtle. Again, sound design is not here to steal the show, okay? It is solely to elevate the viewing experience. So if you have sound effects that are too loud, it'll be a distraction. We do not want that. Now, this is one of those projects that doesn't really need a lot of sound design, all right? It's not super complex. There's not really any shots that are like, wow, this needs this sound effect. So really what happens is the sound design is really just kind of there for support. Again, we're creating a visual experience. So one sound effect that I love to use is this exhale whoosh. So cinematic, especially that like the exhale part. Now I got this from Ryan Nangle, part of his sound effect pack. So I love using this on like big hits in the music. So I think right here is where we have a big hit. All right, we're kind of coming into the next stanza where we bring in the vocals. So what we're gonna do, let's find, this is right where it hits. I typically cut it right before that big peak, and then I will fade it in just a little bit so it's not so abrupt, and then probably bring this down. It's a pretty in your face sound effect. Let's see. Okay, this was too quiet. Couldn't even hear it. Let's bring it up. So, I mean, you can't really hear it. It's there. Let's maybe find, I mean, if we were to put it here on the big hit, let's see what that would sound like. There, you can hear it a little bit more there. It's one of those sound effects I think blends in really well with music. Typically, it sounds better when the music is not as high energy. Not bad. I kind of like it. Let's see. Now, I've just imported like pretty much every sound effect that I have. That's actually a lie. It's not even close to every sound effect I have, but all the ones that I use often. I love this one. It's a sub drop. Sounds really good when the music is low. Might drop it here in the intro. Right? Love that. We're going to leave that there. I think what I'm actually going to do here, as we transition from inside to outside and then outside to inside, this is another nice one I like to use. Go to our effects, all video. We're going to search up for low pass, AU low pass. Drop that in. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna keyframe it in. So it's gonna make our music sound distant. It's like that underwater effect for the people who always ask. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag it all the way up. This is, it's not in effect. Go right here, kind of before the cut, keyframe, drag our playhead over, and my sweet spot is 800. So let's listen how this plays out. Funny part is I put it in the wrong spot. So here's how we fix that. Control A will bring up your audio keyframe edits. So we can then grab their keyframes, drag them to where we want them. So I want this to kind of hit right there. Right there, you can really hear the exhale on that one. But here's where now we're going to drag re-keyframe that low pass out. Very nice, very, very nice. Let me hit Control A to hide that. All right, so that I think does it for the sound effects, the sound design. Again, not a whole lot in this one, but that's okay. The worst, or not the worst, but one of the worst things you can do to your video is over sound design, right? If I'm adding crazy risers, whooshes, hits where there really does not need to be, that's a distraction. It's a huge kind of turn off for me. I see a lot of people who throw in all the sound design and it's like, well, that's just too much, right? So this one, right, again, we're elevating the viewing experience. I'm going to talk about that a lot because I'm very passionate about elevating the viewing experience. And so honestly, some minimal sound design for this one I think is what's really going to help it stand out. Moving on, our next thing that I want to go through is just some stabilization. Some of these clips you may have seen in this one is actually a little janky, a little shaky. Those two. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some stabilization to this. Here, stabilization. So it automatically went to, you can see automatic went to smooth cam. Let's see how this plays out. If we boost this up. So you can see there's a brief second where the top of the house kind of wiggled. We're going to turn or bring down our rotation on that one. Maybe even the scale. Actually, let's try, what would inertia cam look like? Oh, actually, inertia cam I think looks best on this clip. And let's try this clip now as well. Stabilization. Bang. Okay, so it also automatic, it goes to smooth cam. Let's play this through. That's not bad. Let's see, scale. Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think that looks good. So that's how I'm adjusting for any sort of micro jitters. Again, I try to get it as perfect in camera. Sometimes these long ones are hard, and especially on exterior terrain where you can see I'm walking over rocks, mulch, more rocks and grass. That's when you'll see some micro jitters. So that's kind of how I utilize the different stabilization modes to make sure that my footage is super smooth all the time. Okay, the final step for creating real estate videos is going to be the visual effects. And so this includes kind of our zoom transitions, motion blur, and kind of our keyframed zoom ins and zoom outs. So here's what I'm going to show you. We're going to, oh man, I can't speak. Hop over to our titles panel. I'm going to search for linear. Linear, slow zoom and slow zoom 4K. I got these from, I believe these are Ryan Nangle effects. And so these are the two I'm looking at. Zoom in linear, zoom out linear in the 4K. Let me show you what these do. So I like to add movement. I love movement. Dynamicism. Dynamics. I cannot say it. We're just going to go with movement. So zoom in linear. If I put this over here, what that's going to do is it's going to start our image our frame at 100%, how it is, and it's going to slowly zoom in. So if we just put it over, well, let's just put this clip for dramatic effect. You can see it's really punching in to the footage there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to drag it over here. I'm going to drag it over. I usually add these to detail shots. Now, if I play this, that is very dramatic, very intense, too much. So to fix that, we're going to go over here to the text inspection, zoom amount. And honestly, I never really am going more than 5. Sometimes I'll do 8 or 10 if it's like a long clip and really needs to be punched in, but let's try 4, about 4. There you go. Nice little effect. Minimal, right? We'll just copy, paste that onto this clip. Cohesive, that's what I'm looking for, right? So we'll play these 2 clips. Just a little extra sauce on those, right? And then what we can also do is do the zoom out linear, and that's gonna start our clip punched in, right? Very intense. Maybe do the same thing, about 4. Drop it on this one as well. Right? Again, more movement. Boom, boom, boom. And again, I like to usually do the same one kind of back to back so it feels cohesive. And I won't do that on every detail shot. Not every detail shot needs it. Like a slider doesn't really need it. That shot I don't think really needs it. But just to enhance some of the movement. Like this one feels a little stale. So we might put the zoom in over here, trim it, drop this down. Maybe like, that one's pretty quick, so maybe like 3-ish. Yeah, very nice. Right, so that's just another way, an extra way to add some kind of like nice movement into your shots if they feel a little static, feel a little stiff, if you will. Next thing is going to be our zoom transitions on our speed ramps. So again, I got these from Ryan Nangle. Zoom in and zoom out. Obviously, I think most of our speed ramps in this video are zoom ins. So we're going to go zoom in 1 here, zoom in 2 here. That's going to be really helpful on this clip because as we talked about in the beginning of the video, this clip, we didn't go all the way to the wall, right? So this just gives us that little extra punch. And then we don't add it on here because it's a horizontal movement. We're not pushing in or pulling out. Go over here, same thing. Again, it helps. Like if you didn't quite get that distance, let's make sure. Make sure they're right on. It's just gonna help a little bit, a little extra punch. I don't think we need it here. Sometimes this can get tricky because we're not really pushing straight in. I kind of like the way that looks naturally. And then obviously we don't need one there. Second last step is going to be our motion blur. Search motion, because your boy got motion. And we're going to find our motion blurs. These are, again, Ryan Nangle. Shout out Ryan Nangle. Guys, if you want to pick up these transitions or effects, link in the description. I love moderate motion blur too. That's kind of the industry standard. I find the right amount of motion blur. It's not too much. It's not too little. Motion blur, though, lags on my computer, so I'm going to throw this on a proxy just to give you guys a glimpse of what this looks like. Very nice. Full screen that. Motion blur, baby. Now you'll see, I usually just add it over, not the whole clip, because we don't need motion blur here. It's slow. And then once it starts speeding up, that's where I'll put the motion blur. It doesn't need to be over the whole thing. No, where was our next speed ramp? Over here. So yeah, I will just add that to every speed ramp. Oh, there's one here as well. We'll go through, and so that's how you get that nice clean motion blur look. Go here and one here. There you go. So there's our motion blur. That's how our timeline is looking. It's looking nice. The final step, final step. I know I teasing you a little bit here. Final step, export. And so many people, James, what are your export settings? How do you get your videos so crisp on Instagram? Here's something. Everybody loves to talk about, what's it called? Topaz AI for like upscaling and sharpness and whatever. I have never used Topaz. Not once. Don't know how to use it. I've never used Topaz. So I've been able to get these super sharp videos on my Instagram purely through my export settings. So first off, shooting 4K, exporting and editing on a 1080p timeline. We're going to go up here to our share, and I'm going to go export file right here. We have the title of our video, Chef's Cook. Actually, before we do that, I know I'm all over the place here. We're going to hit R for our range tool, and we're going to select our timeline here. Because if we don't select our timeline here, it's going to export everything. It's going to export all the way to the end. This will just export everything that's within our range here, which is our timeline. So little hack if you didn't know that. We're going to go up here, export file. Here's our file size, but here's where we're going to go over settings. Export file, format, computer, video codec, H.264, multi-pass, okay? Resolution, 1080p, 1920. And that's it. Then I would hit next, select my save location, hit export, and then I would just post that straight onto social media. So there you go. That is the full edit start to finish. So there you go. That is how you can efficiently edit high quality real estate videos from start to finish. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below, and I will see you in the next video.